Domee and Lindsay, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Domee, how did your Oscar award winning, does that still sound mad, by the way, but how did that short inspire you to make this?
Yeah, so Bao kind of deals with similar themes as Turning Red, like that parent-child relationship dynamic. But I felt like with Bao, it was more between a mother and a son from the mom's point of view. And for Turning Red, I really wanted to explore a mother-daughter relationship from the daughter's kind of perspective, because that just felt like a more complicated, like that mother-daughter relationship just feels very juicy and complicated and cringy, and
every woman we talk to is like, yeah.
Sure. And so, Lindsay, why did you guys decide to set this not in modern day, but just go back a few years to the early noughties?
Yeah, I think part of it is obviously because it's a bit autobiographical for Domee, and that's when she was 13 years old, was right in, the early 2000s. And I think, as she talked about it, because we certainly had conversations about all of these things and early on, and I think she was really smart about saying that, to have the story feel intimate in the sense that for all that Mei cares about really are her family and her friends. The minute you kind of said it later, I think you have social media coming in, and all of a sudden for a 13-year-old girl like today, social media has just as much, if not more, influence than family and friends. And I think that makes the story very different, in terms of that time in your life. And so I think there was something really simple, the simpler time for where we're really friends and family were the thing that you were struggling with or that you leaned on.
Domee, I love that we're seeing so many different stories being told, right? But at the end of the day, there's so many universal themes. And one thing I think I shocked my kids when I just screamed out at the TV and I went, yes, because in this family, I've got a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we're open. One's a boy, one's a girl, and we're open about periods. We never see it on screen where it's always to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
Why did you focus, why did you include that? And thank you for including it. I love that we're normalizing this. This is something that females go through.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you said, if we wanted to tell a true, authentic coming of age story for a teen girl, and getting your period, it's like something that we all go through, and we wanted to normalize it, but we also wanted to be truthful with that experience of being embarrassed, and what embarrassed us the most at that age, when we all talked together about it in the story room. So many of our stories revolved around accidentally getting our period at school, or finding out but being too afraid to tell our parents, and not understanding what was going on with our bodies, and we all traded war stories like that. So it just felt like it had to be part of the movie from the very beginning. Yeah.
When we showed it to the audiences, we did an audience preview. It's the funniest little thing. We had a little, probably 6 or 7-year-old boy, and he literally was like, "Is that what happens when you get your period?" Thought that you turned into a giant red panda. And oh
no,
yeah,
metaphorically.
Sometimes we feel like that.
I know, it was so funny.
What I do love as well is, even though it's set in the noughties, you've got some of the biggest singer-songwriters of now writing music for your film, Domee. Tell me, how do you get Billie Eilish and Finneas to write for your animated film?
Ask nicely. No. Yeah, I mean, it was a dream for us to be able to work with them. We really wanted to work with songwriters who could speak to those feelings of being a teen, that angst, that emotion, and their songs just really like Lindsay's kids we're obsessed with them, right?
Yeah, from the very beginning. I mean, from Ocean Eyes, right, which was her single before they did their massive album. So I think there was something that connected, and you feel it as a parent. You could just see when those songs connect to your kids. And that you recognize it, because obviously we all grew up with songs that really connected. And so I think for them, it felt to us to be okay, the most important thing is to find singer-songwriters that can do that. And then if ideally they're also kind of fans of boy band, and we did research and found that, Billie and Finneas were huge boy band.
They identified so much with Mei and her obsession with Four Town. Billie was a huge Justin Bieber fan at the same age. And just they were able to connect with the characters and therefore be able to write songs that could connect with them. And it was just, and then it also was like a weird enough question, or like a weird enough request to be like, hey, do you guys want to create a boy band with us? That they couldn't say
like,
no.
all right. Like, I think, and we just screened it for them. And it was so great to hear Billie, having watched the animation, be like, oh my God, I love that. Like, it felt as you've animated, so it looks like Robert is singing directly to her. Like, and you know, she totally got it. She was like, yeah, I love that you really played up that feeling as a kid where you're like, they're speaking to me. Like those songs are written for me, you know?
Yeah. Well, the whole film felt like it was written to all of us. Congratulations. And Domee, cannot wait to see what you do next. As well as you, Lindsay.
No. I'm doing what she's doing. So whatever.
I don't know yet, but